in a digital world, in a world that's growing more and more digital,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think the future of Braille is?
So I'm actually really happy that you brought that up, and I'm happy to answer it. So there has been a lot of debate about the relevancy of Braille given the huge rise in audio technologies, et cetera. But one of the biggest things that will always hold true is that Braille is literacy. Braille is equivalent to learning how to actually read. There's a lot of skills and just different types of grammar, spelling, et cetera, that you're not going to be able to obtain through purely listening to something. And also, what if you are deaf and blind? There's not going to necessarily be the capacity to have that audio element. But also, you don't always want something always talking to you. So it's really interesting because that was something that came up quite early on in my research stages. And it was something I brought up to a lot of participants that I was working with. And there are so many people that are such advocates of Braille. And I think one of the biggest problems that we're currently facing with Braille is just the lack of individuals that there are to then teach the language, or the lack of resources available in Braille. So then the actual desire to go through the process of learning the code isn't going to necessarily be as rewarding, because you know that then you need to make a lot of those materials yourself. But if we can kind of actively, as a community, build awareness about why Braille is so relevant still and the importance that it has, being able to better integrate these incorporations into other pieces, I think will really just help that.
Yeah, that's an awesome answer. Like, because it taught me. Because I was genuinely asking because I had no clue. And
it's a super valid question. But yeah, there are certain things that you just can't get from audio.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like you said, I think that makes sense. It's literacy. If anyone out there listening likes to read books, like Braille would be the way you would read if you were blind. So it's like, you wouldn't want to not have that option, right? Like, you may hate audiobooks. Sometimes you want to sit in bed and read,
Exactly. But like, even just like trying to incorporate audio tech into every single thing that you have, like, that's also going to become really costly. Some of those pieces are going to kind of bug out. They're not always going to work, or they might need to be updated. Whereas holes in paper, they're always going to be there. So there's definitely benefits to both, but I think that while they're both beneficial, they both need to stay around. I don't think one can really outweigh the other.
Yeah, I agree. And also, like, just thinking about it objectively, if you're out in public, you would probably prefer Braille over audio. So that way, not saying that you want to shy away from being letting the world know you're visually impaired, but maybe you just don't want the attention of having your phone blurt out stuff all the time.
Exactly.
Or, you know what I mean? So it's like
absolutely
a privacy thing too, I'd say.